Hey y'all, it's Rick here with Uncommon Communion, coming to you late or early, which way you want to look at it. Yeah, I stayed up to watch that bitter, brutal end to the US men's game. My goodness, my goodness. Oh, you hate to see that. Nevertheless, we dust ourselves off, we move along, and we look ahead. I am going to look ahead at this next day, which will be match day 16, if I am checking my numbers correctly. Talk a little bit about what else happened on Thursday, match day 15, and get us ready for what is coming up on Sunday, which is the knockout rounds. Before we move into that, let's begin as we always begin by recognizing, realizing, celebrating, upholding, and affirming that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of the more and each other. So obviously, the big news from match day 15, Thursday, was the US men's national team. Now, we knew going into it, and you heard this a gazillion times if you watch the coverage, that it was meaningless. They called it a dead rubber game, which is a strange sort of term. So we knew two things. One was the US coach was going to put in a whole bunch of different players. He put in 9 different players. And there was strategic reasons for that. We also knew Turkey had a chip on their shoulder. They shot something like 60 some times in the games ahead, but prior to this, both of which they lost. And we knew they wanted to break out. We knew that they could not go home and look their fans and their country people in the eye without doing something special in this last game. So if you saw it, the US came out strong. Turkey responded. Turkey responded again. It was 2-1 at halftime. And the big question was, what was the US coach going to do? Second half, he brought some subs in, brought Captain America, Christian Pulisic in soon into that half. And the energy was higher. And actually, we scored that equalizer even before Pulisic came in. Then the last part of the fourth quarter, if you will, after the second hydration break, it was back and forth. It looked like multiple times we were going to get that 3-2 goal, that game, what could have, would have been, should have been the game-winning goal. And then at the very end, we were still pressing. It was 7 minutes into that stoppage time. Last-ditch effort and just a sloppy mess in front of the U.S. goal. And they got the winner. So, good on them. They definitely did not live up to their potential in the World Cup games before that. And you know what, y'all? I think the men's team is going to use this as an opportunity to recognize that nothing is in the bag until the final whistle blows. Because what you see sometimes at the end of games, and quite honestly, as much as the men wanted to play for that win, they really should have held the ball for possession and just ran the clock out. It's ugly when you see a player on the team that wants to kill the clock dribble over to the sidelines, over to the corner flag, and just block the ball. Perfectly legal to do, ugly to look at, but that is really what the US men should have done. And in the future, hopefully, as they go further in the tournament, we already know they're in the round of 32, that they will learn that you got to kill a game at the end. It's great to go for the win, but when the other team is pushing for the win and you can get control of the ball, you just send it downfield, go to the corner flag, and run out the clock. So, a learning experience, and it is a damper, wet balloon, a bummer to be sure. But next Wednesday, 8 o'clock, we know who we're playing. Bosnia and Herzegovina, bring the two different countries together, merger country, hyphenated country, you know the story. But that's who we got. Also on the day, some other no earth-shaking games like we had on Wednesday, where South Africa squeaked in. Good on the Bafana Bafana. No huge surprises. Actually, probably the biggest surprise was Ecuador and Germany. That was a big deal. Germany lost 2-1. I don't know if you saw that game, but Germany was wearing blue, baby blue uniforms that I had never seen them play in. So I'm guessing with the loss, those uniforms are going to be somewhere buried deep in the Rhine to never be seen again. So I'm sure they are cursed. Curacao sadly is going home. They had that moment, the moment, the time they were tied with Germany, and the time they tied Ecuador. I think Ecuador, they played them to a draw. So they're going home. Ivory Coast beat them. Ivory Coast is going forward. We also had on the day Tunisia and Netherlands. Netherlands pounded them. Go Orange. They're one of my favorites. Hope they can go far. And then Japan, boy, that was disappointing for them. They wanted to put Sweden away, ended up with a tie. Sweden gets a higher seeding than them, so Japan's going to have to play Brazil in the round of 32. So what an ugly, ugly matchup for them. But anything's possible, and we will look forward to that. And then on the other side of our bracket, Paraguay and Australia, just a near nil-nil. Nobody in this country was watching that probably, but apparently not a great game. Australia goes through, though. So what are we looking at? For Friday, we have 2 more days of these 6 games, 3 times 2, because we got to get through the rest of the groups. The games to watch on Friday, as we look to Friday, it is going to be, again, a full slate of games. We have probably one of the more interesting ones is going to be Norway and France. Those 2 teams are tied at the top of their group. Great fans on both of those, great players. That will be a fun one to watch. That is on at 3:00 Eastern. Senegal and Iraq. Senegal still has a chance to get through, and hopefully they will be able to play well in that game. Cape Verde, wow, they're playing Saudi Arabia at 8:00, and hopefully they can get a tie or a win. And they're on the bubble right now. Be wonderful to see them go through. Uruguay and Spain, that'll be a fun one. They are both leading their group. Spain is through. Uruguay wants to secure their place. And then at 11, we got 2 more games. We have Egypt and Iran. Interesting matchup there. And Egypt has actually, both of those teams have done pretty well. They're first and second in their group. So they have a lot to play for. And then over on the other game, Belgium, who is just disappointed, they are playing New Zealand, and not quite a meaningless game, but not super meaningful for either of those. So we got that tomorrow. Saturday will be our last of the group stage. And then we are right in Sunday into the round of 32. Normally in past World Cups, we would go right into the 16. Half the teams would have gone home because the field would have been 32. Here, we've got the round of 32, which has never been played in a World Cup. So we'll see how it goes. But again, because it's the knockout stage, there are no ties. If the game is tied after regulation, it goes into a 30-minute to 15-minute halves that are not golden goal, so it's not sudden death. And then if it is still tied after that third section, that 30-minute period, then it goes to the shootout. So we will start seeing that in this next round. And the style of play will change because teams have to win. And there's not going to be playing for ties and, that kind of stuff. So what are we looking at? So Germany is through. They are going to be playing in Boston on June 29th, waiting to see who their opponent is. South Africa and Canada will be playing June 28th in Los Angeles. Monterrey, Mexico, a really good one, a banger. Netherlands and Morocco. The thing with the way these are set up, it's going to be sad to see one of those 2 teams go home, because Morocco was so good in the last World Cup, the 2022 World Cup. They went to the Final Four, surprised everyone. And I think their World Cup may be over. At least I hope it is, because I want Netherlands, like I said. Then we have the U.S. and Bosnia, Herzegovina, San Francisco, July 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern. There's still quite a few other matchups where we will be waiting for. We have Brazil and Japan, as I mentioned, June 29th. That is coming up on Monday of next week. Ivory Coast is through. Mexico is through. They're all waiting to see who they will be playing. Argentina and Australia are both through, waiting for their opponent. And then lastly, Switzerland is also through. So that's what we're looking at with the brackets. That is what we will start playing on Sunday. At that point, they're going to be doing, I think, either 2 or 3 games a day, but with a round of 32, that's going to be 16 games. So again, that will take the bulk of next week before we whittle it down to 16 and then keep going downwards from there. Eventually, there will be some gaps between days. Usually that comes kind of at the end. And the very end of the tournament is July 19th. Mark that on your calendar. That will be the final game of the World Cup. So again, y'all, appreciate your listening or watching. I hope this is helpful. If you are a casual fan, if you are a new fan, I hope this little digest, this little run through at least gives you a sense of what's going on without having to look elsewhere or dig deep. Lots of good places to do that, but I'm glad you're doing it here with me. So, all right, we're going to wrap it up. I got to get to bed. Friday is ahead, and let's go USA and be well, blessing and good. Be well, be bold, hold fast, y'all. Thanks for watching.